In this video, I'm going to discuss about business analytics, different types of analytics, especially descriptive, predictive, and prescriptive analytics. And then I will also discuss about data regulations. Business analytics is the scientific process of transforming data into insights for making better decisions. So here, these are keywords. First thing is it's a scientific process, which means it's a very objective process. And the objective of this process is to create more value for all stakeholders, not only just organizations, not just customers, but all stakeholders. And another key element in this definition is that this scientific process and it results in insights creation. And objective is better decisions. Business analytics is used for data-driven or facts-based decision-making, which is often seen as more objective than other alternatives for decision-making. You can also make decision by using other heuristics. You can make decision based on your intuitions or gut feeling, but that's not the scientific way. The scientific way is this business analytics, which means that's data-driven or fact-based decision-making. And these type of decisions, they are more easier to sell to people. You are more likely to convince other people when your decisions are based on data rather than intuitions or gut feelings. And in this process, when we use business analytics, there are three types of analytics that's called descriptive, predictive, and prescriptive. We are going to discuss each of these. Starting with descriptive analytics. Descriptive analytics, they are the simplest form of analytics. They encompass the set of techniques that describe what has happened in the past. So we collect data from the past and then we use certain tools and techniques using Microsoft Excel or other type of statistical packages, and then we conduct some tests. And for instance, you can calculate mean, average, median, mode, and then we also develop visualizations. We make graphs, charts, and plots like pie graph, a scatter plot, which will tell us the relationship between two variables. And we can also make histograms, we can make line graphs, we can make bar plots, and many type of visualization, many type of graphs. And the objective is that we want to understand the process. So descriptive analytics are very helpful because they are very informative. They help us to understand a process. But one of the limitation of descriptive analytics is that they are retrospective because they are based on past data. So we are trying to get some insights based on past data. So which means although they are very helpful, they are simple, they can be done by anyone. You don't need much infrastructure. Simple computer programs like Microsoft Excel or maybe Google Sheets or other minimum packages, they can conduct this descriptive analytics. And the information that will be obtained from descriptive analytics will be used to improve processes. Then the next one is predictive statistics or predictive analytics. In predictive analytics, the objective is to forecast future outcome. So for instance, you want to predict about future sale of forthcoming quarter, month, year, or any type of prediction about demand, about sales. And we use different type of forecasting model. So for instance, in this course, we'll be discussing different type of forecasting model that will be making use of moving averages, weighted moving averages, exponential smoothing, and regression analysis, and correlation, etc. All this. And the objective is that we want to make a prediction about future. You know, we do not have a crystal ball. So therefore, we need some tools to make prediction. And these predictive models, especially forecasting model, they are our friend. They help us to make predictions. So while in this course, we'll be using a regression analysis and different types of forecasting model, depending on what type of infrastructure is available, organizations, they also use AI and machine learning to make predictions. For instance, Amazon. Amazon uses AI and machine learning to make prediction. Now, you know that Amazon has millions of items, and for each item, there can be different variations. For instance, just imagine there's a cloth, and it can have different sizes, and there can be different colors, there can be different designs. And further, demand varies from one season to another, from one month to another. Now, Amazon and other e-commerce companies, they use AI and machine learning algorithm where they automatically determine demand and then they automatically place orders. So without any human intervention, that is the pinnacle point. The next one is prescriptive models. Prescriptive models is the most advanced form of business analytics. I mean, compared to descriptive and predictive, prescriptive analytics indicate a course of action that needs to be taken. In other words, the output of a prescriptive model is a decision. For instance, about inventory management in healthcare. In a hospital, what type of inventory to be maintained? What type of medicines are most frequently needed, what type of surgical equipments are most frequently needed, and what level of inventory to be maintained. All these decisions, they are usually supported by AI and machine learning algorithm, depending upon sophistication of infrastructure. Similarly, when we are using more basic type of programs. For example, if we are using Microsoft Excel or R Studio, then simulations and KNN, they are also example of prescriptive analytics. Now, the next thing is a comparison of the utility of descriptive, predictive, and prescriptive analytics. I mean, which one is more likely to give you a competitive advantage? Now, here you can say you can see that on the x-axis we have degree of complexity that's increasing from left to right, and then on the y-axis we have competitive advantage. And here we have a spectrum of different type of statistical and business decision-making tools and techniques. So for instance, let's say that we start with standard reporting, data query, visualization, and descriptive statistics, and mining and forecasting and predictive. Now, those that are at the bottom, they fall in descriptive analytics because they are the simplistic one, because they are based on retrospective data. We are trying to develop some sort of visualization. We are making graphs and different types of plots. So these are called as descriptive analytics, and they are not very complex. And accordingly, competitive advantage is also low. And the reason is that because these type of descriptive analytics, they are very good to improve and streamline your operations. But they may not be very much helpful in strategic decision making. So when we have descriptive analytics, although degree of complexity is low, but competitive advantage is also low. And then we have predictive analytics. For instance, let's say forecasting, and predictive modeling. Now, predictive modeling, they are a little bit more complex than descriptive analytics. And accordingly, you can see here that competitive advantage is also higher compared to descriptive analytics. And the last one is prescriptive analytics, which mean, for instance, optimization, decision analysis, rule-based models, and simulations. Now, prescriptive analytics, they are very complex. Complex in the sense they would require more sophisticated programs, and they may also require a more advanced infrastructure for data collection, data analysis, and data storage. So, for instance, you may need Industry 4 or Industry 5 type of infrastructure, whereby, for instance, you have sensors. They are installed on machines, they are installed in your facilities at different points. And there is RFID, and RFID and sensors, they are collecting data in real time. And that data is being fed to machines, to cloud computing applications that use IoT, Internet of Things infrastructure, whereby all these devices, they are linked, and sensors and RFID, they are collecting data and they are passing on that data through IoT to other systems. And let's say, for instance, cloud computing applications, they collect data, they store data, and they analyze that data. And maybe there are digital twins. They are also using artificial intelligence, machine learning algorithms, and simulations. So you see, when we talk about prescriptive analytics, there is a possibility that underlying there is an infrastructure that's required, and which means degree of complexity is higher, but accordingly competitive advantage is also high. So which means prescriptive analytics can provide insights that cannot be provided by predictive, and definitely not by descriptive statistics. Therefore, the relationship between degree of complexity and competitive advantage is that we say descriptive analytics, they have low complexity and low competitive advantage, and predictive analytics, they have mediocre level of complexity and mediocre level of competitive advantage, and prescriptive analytics, they have high level of complexity and also very high competitive advantage. Now, I will give you a few examples of some organizations that are using these type of analytics. Amazon is one example. Amazon is using AI and machine learning algorithm extensively. And that's why Amazon is also called as king of leverage. We usually know Amazon. I mean, if you ask anyone that, how do you know Amazon? They might tell you their experiences about delivery. They would say it's an e-commerce company. But we know about AWS, Amazon Web Service, and their broader infrastructure that is used to leverage their e-commerce. Now, Amazon, we know that Amazon, as an e-commerce company, when people and they go to Amazon and they will search for something and they will buy that. But the exciting thing about Amazon is that most of the revenues, or at least at one point, Amazon claimed that more than 25% of the revenues comes from suggestions that are produced by machine learning algorithms, which means it's not the product that people are looking for, but it is the type of product that Amazon is suggesting customers to buy. And that is producing 25% of revenues of Amazon. And that is a huge chunk. The next thing is Netflix. Netflix also does the same thing. Netflix collects data from you, from their viewers, and they collect data about what type of movies they watch, how many hours they watch, and what type of um, uh, platforms they use, what type of operating system they use. Uh, Netflix has access to all this type of data, and the Netflix algorithm, they produce suggestions. They will tell users and their customers that this is something that matches with your interest. Then the next thing is legal and ethical perspectives. And in this one, uh, I would highlight some of malpractices, which mean that has happened in the past, and there is a possibility that they can happen because of their very basic nature, because it's all about data, and data is being collected many times without your consent, without your knowledge, and that data is being used to make your profile and present you with something which you may not even be interested. Now, one of the malpractices was from Amazon. Now, at one point, some journalists they found that Amazon uses price discrimination, which mean, for instance, let's say there are two people and they live in the same house, which mean they are using the same physical address, and their account is also same, which mean no one has a premier subscription, but they just have a regular account, and one of them is using a Windows platform, and other one is using a MacBook platform. So it was found that at one time in past that Amazon was collecting all this information, that what type of operating systems you are using. And those people who were using MacBooks or internet operating system, they were charged a higher price, because Amazon algorithm, it found that okay, if someone is using a MacBook, most likely they would be affluent, and so for the same product, exactly the same product, all specifications remain same, all delivery related specifications remain same, and every other thing remains constant. The only thing that was changing is that one person was using a Windows based computer, and other was using internet operating system such as a MacBook, and Amazon was charging them a higher price only because they were using MacBook. Does Amazon still uses the same strategy? I don't know, but they did it in the past, and this is well documented. So that's one example that how these business analytics and all the data that these analytics build upon, they can be used for wrong actions. Then another thing is unintended consequences of analytics, particularly machine learning and recommendation engines. And many time these, because these machine learning algorithm and AI, sometimes they give you recommendations that might be weird. For instance, in this month, in August 2023, BBC published a report, that they published a story. One of their journalists, their name is Ali House, and Ali House said that Netflix knew about their gender much before they knew about herself. That's an interesting story. It was just published a few days ago in August 2023. You may wish to read it. Then there is another thing about YouTube. So, for instance, we know again, YouTube, they also use this analytics because that is their business model. They want to promote viewing. And one author, her name is Zanab Tufekci, she said that YouTube is a great radicalizer because YouTube promotes extreme contents, because those extreme contents in any form, whether that's political opinions or any type, they are usually promoted more because that's a business model. The more people see something, the more it spreads. And as a result of that, there is a possibility that you may end up living in an information echo chamber because these algorithms on Google, on Wikipedia, on YouTube, they are showing you what you want to see. So, which mean they may not be showing you objective truth, but they only are showing you what you like or what you want to watch. So you might be living in an information echo chamber where there is confirmation and affirmation of your own beliefs. And any type of information that challenges your beliefs is filtered out. That is not being shown to you. And therefore, all these things have implications, which mean there will be disinformation when people are living in an information echo chamber and they have access only to one type of information, not the information that can challenge their beliefs, their views. So as a result of that, there will be disinformation. So for instance, just imagine if there is another pandemic and what would happen with this information, the level of information that would be spread. And all these things have implications for society. Now, the next thing is what type of rules and regulations exist. Now, in Europe, we have this general data protection regulation. European Union is relatively strict on that, and it's the best regulation they have come across. And this regulation, it states that um, there should be a consent to use an individual's data, and that consent must be easily understood and accessible. The intended use of the data must be specified, and it must be easy to revoke your consent. The law also states that individuals have a right to request a copy of their data and the right to be forgotten. That's a right to demand that their data be erased. In the US, there is no comprehensive law that is comparable to GDPR, but some other type of rules and regulations exist that are specific to sectors, and also different states, they have made their own laws. Here are some examples. This list is not exhaustive. It is just an illustrative list of some of regulations. So first one is Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act. It's a federal law that regulates the privacy and security of health information. So which means all healthcare providers and those organizations that provide health plans and healthcare clearinghouses and their business associates, they have to follow this law. Then there is another law that's about Children's Privacy Act Protection Act, which means that it's about online privacy of children under the age of 13. And then there is another act that's a federal act that's called Graham-Leach-Bliley Act. Again, it's a federal act, and that's about financial institutions, which mean they are obligated to protect uh, data of their customers. So all banks, security firms, insurance companies, and other financial service providers, they must abide by this law. Then there is FCRA, that's Fair Credit Reporting Act. This is about regulating the collection, use, and disclosure of credit information by credit reporting agencies. And then there's an act that's called Can Spam Act, which means it gives people a choice, and they have the right to opt out of receiving unsolicited emails, commercial emails. And then there are also state-specific laws. For instance, in California, Consumer Privacy Act, which means they give consumers a right about their personal data. And the last example is FTC, that's Federal Trade Commission Act. Now, Federal Trade Commission, that is not a data a regulation body. This is an institution that protects the rights of consumers, but recently FTC has been very active, and it enforces action against companies that fail to protect the data of their customers, or if they engage in any type of deceptive practices.